Hello, everyone, and welcome to our long-awaited return to the customer and the service. I am Sean Petrowski. With
And I,
me, as always, is my good friend, John Lemazny. How are you, John?
hey Sean, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Here we are, about 4 months later.
It's been quite a 4 months.
It has 120 days, roughly.
I missed you, man.
Missed you, too.
I'm glad we're having this conversation tonight.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to having more. We have a lot to talk about. A lot has happened.
Absolutely. So, a lot of changes, a lot of developments in our world. Um, let's dive headfirst into it. I understand you want to talk about a retailer here we have in the area by the name of Staples. Maybe people have heard of it. Maybe they haven't.
I think they've heard of Staples. I'm pretty
I hope
sure.
so. I hope so.
Pretty sure they've heard of Staples. So yeah, I frequent Staples for situations where I would normally purchase something on Amazon, but I want to try it out first.
So you're doing what people often call showrooming.
Showrooming. I often showroom, except that I usually get so excited about the product I have in my hand and the potential for using it that I don't showroom at all, but rather I go ahead and make the purchase. Um, Almost always, because I'm impatient. If I want something to the degree that it took me off of my beaten path to go to a Staples and to deal with that whole thing, I will often just make that purchase right there. Because there's no benefit to me in using Amazon except that I have Prime. The benefit of Amazon, of course, is flexibility and variability and options, right? So there are likely things on Amazon, guaranteed things on Amazon, that do not exist in my local Staples. They just don't.
So let me ask you a question. Do you
If
not
you,
run into the issue of price being different between Amazon and Staples?
yes, I do not typically get the cheapest price at Staples. I typically get the quickest situation of product in hand at Staples.
Okay.
Right?
What type of products are we talking about?
So, I mean, usually it's business products. It can be hard drives. Like I recently bought a 2 terabyte hard drive at Staples, and I absolutely love it. And there was a little issue actually with the pickup because the same thing that Best Buy does, where you sign up, you pick it up, or I'm sorry, you sign up, you arrange to have it waiting there. In my particular case, I wasn't able to get there as quickly as they were able to have it ready for me. And so when I finally got there, it was like on a back order shelf or like whatever, where it was like where, good orders go to die. And so I had to like convince them that I was who I said I was and, tell them, yes, I still want the hard drive and I hope you didn't sell it and blah, blah, blah. So that's a separate issue. However, on a recent visit, I needed to get a chair because I have this chair here. Okay, you ever seen this chair?
It's a stool.
That's a stool. That's correct. It also is a chair. I mean, it's not a tree. It's not a dog. It is a surface for sitting upon.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
This chair, incidentally, this stool is the stool that I learned how to play guitar on. I sat for hours on this stool. Hours and hours and hours, years, really. And I love this stool, so I have this. This is one of the few things I took out of my previous residence, was the stool. The problem is it's not especially comfortable for computing with.
Absolutely not.
It's not flexible. It doesn't have any ergonomic sensibility to it.
No back support.
No back support at all, and I needed a chair. Now, if you're going to pick out a chair, are you going to do that on Amazon?
No, definitely not.
You're going to go showroom, right?
Absolutely.
And you're going to go for the lowest price. And it just so happened that Staples had half off sales on their office chairs. So I go in there. I don't need something fancy. I just need something better than the stool. So I go in there and I'm sitting on various chairs, sort of looking at price as I'm sitting down on them and saying, do I really need that extra 15 adjustments for my lower back, middle back, upper back, head? Like, do I need to be Jean-Luc Picard in the Enterprise, or do I just need a place that supports my back? And the answer was, I just need a place that supports my back. And it just so happens that the lowest priced chair in the place with a half off discount was like $40. And so I sit down on the chair. It's not leather, it's not especially stylish. It's pretty simple, but it was sturdy and it was adjustable and it was fine. So what was nice about it was, I was able to try out these things. The prices were right, and as a result, I fell in love with this chair and said, I'm going to get this today. Now, in the meantime, a woman walks over, a manager, and she says, is there anything I can help you find today? I said, yeah, I'm looking for a chair, and I'm really interested in this, whatever the name of the chair was. And she said, that's fine. Are you looking for a certain price range? I said, yeah, I'm really kind of excited about the fact that you have sales going on right now. She said, well, I have two things to tell you. The first thing is, you should maybe consider one of these other chairs because you're kind of a big guy, and some of the other chairs will sort of survive you better, And she meant it kindly, and I took it kindly. And she said those are really, for like short-term use in an office where a lot of people are moving around the office. You might want to spend another $20 and get a better chair. I said, I'll consider that. Thank you very much for the information. She said, I feel so strongly about this, I will give you a discount if you upgrade to the next level chair, and it'll be the same price as the chair you're looking at right now. And I thought, what a delightful, kind thing to do. And I actually interacted with her to the point where I said, this may be the best interaction I've ever had at Staples, because I have walked out of Staples kind of angry for various reasons, but this like redeemed all that. And it wasn't just this interaction, it was like she came back over to me 3 times. I was also getting a touchpad, like a touchpad for your laptop, but it's like a peripheral.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and those were on sale. And she was like, "Oh, that's perfect. We don't actually have any out on the floor. I have to get that for you. Would you like that now?" I said, "Sure. Can you just sort of start a pile for me at the front of the store?" She said, "Absolutely." So it was like all of a sudden I had a personal shopper at Staples. And I was asking her questions about, the hard drives and, whether or not there were any sales coming up. And she was sort of telling me, and she didn't need to say anything to me. She could have been like so many retail workers and just not cared, just done the basic element of her job in order to get through the day. And she sold me on customer service at Staples. She really did a great job. I believe her name was Jennifer. And then I went to the register, and the cashier also enthralled me with her. She wanted to make sure that I had made the right choices that day, and she reminded me that there were other possibilities. And I talked to her about hard drives because I was, searching out hard drives. So it just was a redeeming effort on the part of 2 people who I happened to interact with at Staples that completely changed my fairly neutral or sometimes negative view, because they had a smile on their face, they went out of their way in order to help me in the ways that they could, and they won me over.
So, kind of going back to an earlier point I made in this conversation, the concept of showrooming. So you're going into Staples on a regular basis. You're showrooming, yet you're willing to pay a higher price for that. Are you aware of the fact that our favorite retailer, Best Buy, will now price matches with online retailers to prevent showrooming?
I would bet that if I had mentioned to Staples that I found a lower price and I had in fact found a lower price, I'll bet they would have matched my price.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if it's policy, but how can you exist in a world where online retail exists and not offer price matching to some degree?
Well, I would say since you had a wonderful experience with them, you'll probably be going back. If you run into a situation where there's a price difference, I would try that experiment and see where it gets you.
Oh, you know what? I have been frequenting Bottom Dollar recently.
I'm not familiar with the bottom dollar.
I don't know. It's beneath you, Sean. But for me, it's perfect. And so Bottom Dollar is a grocery chain similar to Aldi in that there's an effort for the lowest price possible with reasonable value, but not necessarily the biggest name brands or not necessarily the premium products, but rather the it doesn't mean that they're not nutritionally sound, but they're not necessarily like smack you in the face with branding, which is kind of my thing. Like I really like the fact that they're no frills brands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and everything is incredibly cheap, really good, beautiful, fresh produce. There's limited selection. You can't get like Chinese dumplings, frozen Chinese dumplings there. But if I really want that, I can go somewhere else. For the rest of it, though, for all the basic staples, all canned goods, all canned vegetables, cereal, coffee, all that stuff, it's all there. Whole wheat bread, whole grains. So it's just like any other grocery store, but their emphasis is the lowest price anywhere. Whereas if you go to Stop and Shop, lowest price is not the first thing that comes to mind. Anyway, they sent out mail by mail coupons for $10 off your entire purchase, and I forgot the coupon when I went. And as I was checking out, I said, "Could you please honor your $10 coupon for this week that I got in the mail?" And he said, "There's no way that I can do that transaction right now, but if you bring back your receipt and you bring back the coupon, I will be happy to give you that $10 back." It was like lovely. Just had some really good customer service interactions, especially in regards to saving money recently.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Um,
So how about you? What do you want to talk about this week?
well, I've been touting the virtues of Nokia for a little while. As I'm a avid Windows Phone supporter. I don't know. I don't remember if I mentioned back in October that my wife, Crystal, got the Nokia Lumia 1020, which is the 41 megapixel camera phone, Windows phone. She switched from an iPhone to that because
Nice.
she wanted a really nice high-end camera that was also a phone, so she didn't have to carry around two devices. So with that, was a big change for her. She's leaving a lot of comfort apps from iOS behind. And of course, I immediately become Microsoft anytime something goes wrong with that phone. So
Oh no.
so the second something doesn't go her way or she doesn't understand why things are the way they are, I have to provide the support, the explanation. Sometimes I have to bear the brunt of some frustrations as well. And sometimes there's you made me switch to this phone kind of thing, but I didn't really make her switch to the phone. That's
You totally did, though.
no.
Totally did.
Um,
you and I have spent enough time with you to know how persuasive you are. I know what's going on.
Well, I purposely don't use my persuasions with her because I know that it can bite me in the ass. And I feel like I think if we pulled her in here now, she would say that she made the decision on her own.
We totally should too. I mean, she should be a part of the show.
Well, she's sitting on the couch and playing with the cat, so
Uh,
maybe another time. But anyway, so she's had this phone since October, and I'd say about around, oh geez, I'm trying to remember. I guess sometime in January, maybe even early February, the battery on her phone started basically dying very rapidly. Very, very rapidly. And it just so happened to coincide with an update that came for the phone about 2 weeks before this started to happen.
okay.
So, immediately I go into troubleshooting mode because in the past I've had a lot of different smartphones. I've had battery issues with some of them. 9 times out of 10, it's typically there's something isn't right with the phone that can be fixed. It's a defect. There's a piece of software that's causing a problem. There's maybe you don't have enough signal where you're spending most of the time of your day. There's a lot of different reasons that could cause a battery drain. That don't require you to send the phone in. So we were doing all kinds of experimentation. I installed like a battery tracking app, to see what her battery usage was. It basically just was like taking a nosedive. Like it was just like.
Right.
I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. So I reached out to Nokia via Twitter, which, as you know, is my method of choice for communicating with the companies that I support. And, had mentioned, my wife's having a problem with her phone. It's a battery draining issue. I tried the following things already. What do you recommend? And I proceed to have a back and forth with Nokia, with them recommending very laborious, time-intensive steps that would not yield
a good result.
Well, information until 2 or 3 days later after performing the steps.
Yep.
So it wasn't like a quick, exchange of I did that or I did this. So it took a couple weeks to go through all their troubleshooting. It was about a month of troubleshooting I went with them. And still could not for the life of me figure out, what was causing the battery drain. So Nokia said, all right, listen, the phone, there's obviously a problem with the phone or the battery. You need to send it in. So Crystal is very apprehensive about sending in things because she doesn't want to be without her phone, this, that, and, she's afraid her information is going to be wiped out, which is understandable. I feel the same way myself. We have an extra phone here that she can use. She could have went back to her iPhone. We have another Nokia phone that she could have used, but she didn't really want to give her phone up, and that was understandable. So we kind of we dragged our feet for a little while on sending it in, and I think about a week or two went by after Nokia said we should send it in, and she mentions to me one Saturday, I can't open attachments in my email anymore on the phone. And I go, oh, that's weird. So, I'm trying it myself on the phone. The attachments they're never opening. She clicks on the attachment and the little loading thing, it never loads. So I do a power cycle on the phone, doesn't fix the issue. And I just so happened to notice, for whatever reason, like I was on the settings screen and I hit the accounts screen where you put in your Gmail account, your Hotmail account, your accounts that the phone uses. And sorry. And then I noticed that the entry for her Gmail account was gray, and it just said syncing.
Right.
And it just was perpetually. It never stopped syncing. Like I would check every 5 minutes or something, It just was always syncing, always syncing. And I'm like, what the heck could be causing this? So, I can't even get into the account settings because it grays out when it's syncing. So I had to like do some special reboots and, turning the data off so that it wasn't establishing a connection with Gmail, only to find out that the mail setting, which we had originally set for 5 days worth of mail, was now changed to every message on the server. Now, if you're anything like my wife, John, I'm sure you have 20 to 50,000 messages in your Gmail account because
I am precisely like your wife.
Yeah, I mean, as most people are. I mean, I have thousands of messages in my Gmail as well.
Why delete it if you don't have to?
Exactly. So the phone was basically trying to download all these messages. And, obviously nobody ever uses that setting on a phone, unless they keep a very minimal amount of data. Maybe it's an IMAP connection or an Exchange connection where, you have a limited quota and you need to keep your inbox clean.
Right. You want to keep about 2 weeks worth of. You want to keep about 2 weeks worth of current mail.
Sure. Not every message you've ever.
No.
The email she sent me in 2006.
What your desktop is for.
Right. So once I changed that setting, I noticed that the syncing issue stopped, and I said to her, I was like, I think this is the problem. Why don't you use the phone for a couple days and see what happens? Sure enough, about 2 or 3 days go by, battery problem is solved. So I go back to Nokia on Twitter and I say, hey, figured out the problem, not going to send the phone in. And, the problem was that the phone was trying to sync with the Gmail, and figured out that whatever the update was that we had changed that sync setting, or overrode it to a default setting. So, my first and only experience with Nokia support, I feel like that should have been one of the things they had me check. When they were having me do these crazy laborious, like erase the phone, uninstall apps one by one, and then reinstall them. Like all kinds of nonsense. When
by the way, I ran into the same thing with Google about my Nexus 4, which of course I have to use as a speakerphone if I want to converse on it. And they made me go through the troubleshooting process in order to get the RMA, and it involved like resetting my phone, and like I have two-step authentication set up. So when you get to the point of logging into your account and you require an application that you have not installed yet to give you that two-step authentication, like luckily I had the codes that you print out.
Yeah.
And I was able to use one of those codes, but I sat there for about 45 minutes, like freaked out that I was not going to be able to get back into my phone. It's really good indication of how secure two-factor authentication is, but a real flaw in that process of resetting your phone to factory defaults. Because without my phone, I don't have that code unless I have the printout of the. I was able to do the workaround, but nowhere in that lineup is a warning about two-factor authentication and the issue of not being able to navigate to the application in order to get the code. It was a long, messy, scary thing. But yeah, huh?
I was just going to say, which is why now, for years, ever since I had a Trio, and I had a couple Trios that gave me problems over the years, the Palm smartphones, yeah. I learned that it's better to just lie and say that you wiped your phone, even though you didn't.
It didn't matter. I mean, nothing was changed on my phone, and somewhere in my email is a response to begin that process, but it's just been a crazy couple weeks anyway.
Yeah. So I was a little disappointed that Nokia didn't have me check that one simple setting. But, that's that. So we'll see what happens in the future if Crystal or I run into any other problems. and if we have to deal with them, and as we know, next month they will become part of the Microsoft empire. Um, so who knows what will happen there?
Did we ever talk about the selection for CEO? I think we talked about it in our last podcast.
We talked about that the search was on, but the selection has been made. Satya Nadella,
Yeah.
I think a good choice. Since Microsoft is positioning itself as a devices and services company, you have a guy who has run the cloud services end of Microsoft for a very long time, and so I think he's definitely a good choice. Good, and with Bill Gates stepping up as a consultant to the CEO, technology consultant, I think
I
that's a
thought
great
that was
move
a
also.
little bit odd, personally. I felt like Bill Gates stepping in as a consultant seemed almost like a vote of no confidence.
No, I don't see it that way at all, actually.
Explain that to me, then, please.
Well, I think part of the thing is that there's been this movement to get Bill Gates out of the chairman role, and because they feel that with him as the chairman of the board, that basically he still was running the show in a lot of ways, or people would make decisions that they feel would make him happy as the founder of Microsoft. So this new technology advisor to the CEO position that he's taken has actually taken him out of the chairman role. He still has a vote on the board, of course, but he's no longer leading the board like he had in the past. And many people are seeing this as his first step to stepping away from Microsoft completely. Actually, I was reading an article that by the end of this calendar year, he will no longer be the majority shareholder of Microsoft, and that Steve Ballmer actually will, because Bill Gates has been slowly selling his stock to fund his philanthropic efforts.
Right, right.
So, that's how I look at it. Many other pundits in the industry have kind of seen it that way too, and I think. The other thing was that they said Satya Nadella didn't have any experience in the consumer space. The Xbox operating system, Windows Phone, all these other devices that they manufacture. And they basically were saying that because Gates had so much experience in the past in those areas, that he would serve as an advisor specifically to help him with understand the consumer markets.
That's true. I don't know enough about him as a leader or his history to really be able to assess how what kind of a choice that was. But if you say that he is the best choice, then I have faith in that.
Well, good. I mean, we'll see what happens. He's actually going to be making his first public appearance as CEO, I believe, sometime this week, as Microsoft is holding an event that supposedly will announce Office for iPad and possibly Android, as well as some new changes to Office 365. So we'll see what happens. That should be this week. And next week is the famous Build conference, where there's going to be major announcements about Windows Phone and Windows 8 coming up.
Well, I also wanted to ask you a question. This seems very straightforward and clear-cut to me. I was giving a class tonight on Raspberry Pi,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And in the class, I also showed a Chromecast because it was another HDMI device that was around $35.
Yeah.
Okay, so when in talking about Chrome, we've inevitably talked about Google Drive and other apps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what was strange about it was there was a person in the audience who was Microsoft-centric who argued that Live Drive, or whatever the equivalent to Google Drive is,
OneDrive.
OneDrive, thank you, has been around longer than Drive.
That's correct.
And it's had collaborative features longer than Drive?
Yes, absolutely.
I don't understand.
What don't you?
Then why was Office 365 such a big deal?
You mean collaborative features in the sense that it allowed
Uh,
for word
When
processing and
I,
such?
let's say that you and I wanted to do a show notes thing.
Okay.
I would go into Drive, I would create a document, I would share it with you,
Hmm.
and you and I would be able to see each other's changes in real time.
Yeah, that functionality is new.
That functionality is new to Live Drive or whatever it is.
OneDrive, yes.
OneDrive, thank you. I can never keep the ones and the lives and the drives
And
straight.
there's no more
So
no more live. It's all gone.
wasn't it? Okay, I believe you. So what's strange to me though is that there was an argument that somehow Google's collaborative features to this degree were somehow secondary in innovation to Microsoft's.
What was his examples or reasons for that?
He just said that it preceded Google's collaborative efforts. It preceded Google's, and I said no, because that was the innovation that Drive offered, was that you could collaborate in real time, even though I'm in France and you're in Germany, and like we can see each other's changes in real time. And then on top of that, the ability to do that in spreadsheets, the ability to do that in presentations, the ability to make that public, the ability to make it private except for link, to make it private to an individual, to make it viewable by one person and editable by another. Like the ACLs were really the innovation there. And it can be applied to any kind of file, right?
Okay, so in that respect, removing the collaborative word processing, spreadsheet, or PowerPoint presentation aspects of OneDrive and Google Drive from this argument, taking those away, Microsoft's cloud storage solution, which at that time was, I believe, called Live Mesh, actually had the access control functionality that you're talking about many, many, many years before Google had that. So,
Okay.
so basically, Microsoft had the ability to share documents in the same way that Google Drive does, with a private link or actually adding somebody's Microsoft account to a permissions list and giving them read-write access to a folder or an individual file. That's existed for a very long time. Microsoft's had that for a long time. The missing thing was the integration with web-based versions of Word, PowerPoint, and Excel, which is what Google beat them to the punch on that for sure. But
Okay.
the storage, sharing, and permissions,
Well,
Microsoft had a long time.
that is that is certainly an innovation, but it was an innovation that was a paradigm shift in computing altogether. Uh, Google Drive was something that people sort of dreamed about and didn't have, and now we do. But I and incidentally, I just saw that Facebook just bought or is going to buy Oculus Rift.
Yeah, for $2 billion.
Wow.
Not good.
Why?
That's bullshit. I mean, what are they gonna do with it? Nothing. It's so much wasted potential. It's not gonna go anywhere. They basically killed any chance that the Oculus Rift had of gaining a mainstream foothold in gaming or PC. I think the innovation is going to be really really held back as being a part of the Facebook thing.
Okay. I don't know. I just saw it, and it didn't have anything to do with what we were talking about specifically. But I thought it was a good purchase. It certainly. I mean, I don't think Google wants it. They have Glass. I feel like very often Facebook is constantly trying to say
Well, Oculus, and Google Glass are two completely different products.
they are completely different products, in that one is about gaming and environment, and the other one is about virtual. Is about an overlay to your environment. But I think there are some similarities there. It's wearable computing. It's virtual reality. It's what's the phrase I'm looking for? not virtual reality, but what do you
Augmented
call it?
reality?
Yeah, augmented reality. They are both augmented reality, no?
No, I mean I'd say Google Glass definitely has capabilities to become augmented, have augmented reality integrated into it if it doesn't already.
I
Uh,
thought that with Rift though was not a closed environment, but rather you could see through.
no, definitely, it's 100% closed. It's an old school VR helmet.
Okay, well that's a shame.
Yeah, but the idea was it's not 400 pounds and the display technology is better than anything before, and I think there's also 3D capabilities as well. I could be wrong about that, but or at
In,
least there's potential for 3D capability.
in other words, as you move through the world physically, your environment changes.
Well, as in because you have two screens on your eyes, there's the 3D lens technology to make it seem three-dimensional.
Oh,
I don't know
it
if
would
that's
it would be
been.
nice if as I moved my head or as I moved my body, the environment changed.
Oh no, that's part of it too. I mean, that's what a VR helmet does.
Yeah.
The
Have you
idea
ever
of what's that?
have you ever used an Oculus Rift?
No, I have not used an Oculus Rift, but I have used other VR helmets over the
Sure,
years.
sure. And I mean, I was excited about back when on your phone there was that one layer. You remember Layar, Layar, that
Yeah, it was an
was
Android. It was an Android app, right?
yeah app, and you would as you moved through the world, it like you could change, for example, seeing that in 20 miles in that direction there was a subway, and in 14 miles in that direction was Philadelphia, and in 13 miles that direction there was whatever. I mean, there's still an opportunity for that. I don't think that we ever got that particular promise.
Well, Nokia actually has done a lot of development in that space and has created a lot of amazing augmented reality experiences uh, with that. So, I mean, I think they've taken that. Layar was that first step, and Nokia has really taken the baton and taken it steps further. I mean, I don't think many people are aware of that because it's a minority platform at this point still. But they have some really cool solutions and implementations of that technology.
Okay. Well, very good. What else would you like to talk about?
I just wanted to bring attention to a chat platform that I discovered at this point, probably about a month or two ago, called Telegram. Are you familiar with Telegram, John?
I'm not.
Telegram is a highly secure, open source chat platform that is a cloud based IM solution available for iOS, Android, Windows Phone, as well as OS 10, Linux, and Windows. And basically, the idea is, it's very similar to Hangouts or WhatsApp or any of those messaging solutions that are popular, except
Yep.
that the security is extremely, extremely high. The encryption on the messages themselves, the encryption of the servers that handle the communications is higher than anything else that's currently available. And it also allows for highly secure communication. So, like if you and I are messaging with one another and we want to go an extra layer of security, there's an option to go secure, and it actually keeps the chat locked to the individual devices that the communication is happening on, and no traces are left on any of the Telegram servers. And when the secure chat is ended, all traces of that chat are then removed from both of those devices.
Why is this particular feature set so important right now? What is the why are there so many people who are interested in not having a record of conversation?
It's not a record of conversation that's the issue. It's that your record is only viewable to you and the people that you chat with. There's no outside eyes that are able to see any information about your chats or any metadata associated with them. Um, as has become such a great threat with all the information we've learned through Edward Snowden about the NSA and other United States government agencies.
But this is also an extension of the idea of the want for Snapchat.
Um, Sort of. I mean, Snapchat's, as we know, is kind of self-destruction method. You know, you see the message, it's only there for like 5 seconds, and then it implodes.
Right.
Um,
6.
this is not really. It has the capability of sending files, photos, video. You can drop your GPS location on a map. You can exchange voice messages. You can record video and send it live. I mean, there's insane media sharing capabilities that this platform has. But I would still say at heart, it's a text-based chat platform that syncs across all your devices using cloud technology. So I would think that, philosophically, it's very different than Snapchat. And also,
Okay.
Snapchat just had a major security breach not that long ago, too. So they've already proven that they're not really secure at all.
Well, it must be difficult, honestly, because I've always said that if I can see it or hear it, it's mine. So and like Snapchat has some workarounds for that, where it says, for example, if you do a screen capture of something that on Snapchat, that screen capture is noted to the sender,
Right.
right? But I could also take a picture of my screen, in which case that record would never be reported,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um, I don't know. It just seems like a panacea against for privacy rather than actual privacy.
Mm, well, like again, I mean, if you're gonna use Snapchat as the product that you're gonna compare Telegram to, I don't know if I can agree with that.
I'm not even necessarily speaking badly of Telegram, but like, if I want to make a record of it, I will.
Yeah, it's not the issue of the record. It's the outside eyes that are the problem. It's you and I are having a conversation, and we don't have to worry about anyone else getting in between our conversation or that type of
Because
thing.
we've chosen to not only make it available, but to broadcast it and to publicize it.
I'm not, I think I misunderstood what you were saying. What's your point? I don't know. I missed it completely.
I mean, for this hangout, for example, it's completely different endgame. We want people to see this, and so therefore we make it as easy as possible for people to see it by using YouTube as a platform and by
Sure.
using, right?
Yeah.
But this other idea of having a private conversation, which you and I have, but I feel like if somebody wanted that conversation, they would be able to get to it. You're saying that Telegram would be able to prevent that third party from possibly getting to it.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, I'll look at it. Is it
Yeah.
available for other platforms besides Windows Mobile?
iOS, Android, Windows Phone, OS 10, Linux, Windows. I mean, it's available on everything.
Oh, you said it's open source.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I will definitely check it out. Does it use any standard protocols?
Yes, it does. I will tell you. 1 second. The website is telegram.org, just so you know.
Okay, I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, the protocol is called MT Proto, Mobile Protocol. And that is what the secure communication protocol is. And it is publicized, the source code is publicized under GNU GPL version 2.
Yeah, version 2 was a good revision.
And then there's other clients that they have available that are under version 3 as well. So,
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah. So I've been slowly but surely evangelizing its benefits, and literally everyone that I have introduced it to loves it. And I have people have just switched wholeheartedly to it. They understand the security benefit, but the feature set that it provides is unmatched to anything that any of the other chat services offer.
Okay, I will definitely take a look at it. I'll install it and connect with you and see what we can do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Join. And then the other thing that's really cool too is you can do group chats with it as well. So, not just limited to one-on-one conversation.
Sweet, that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for sharing.
No problem. So I'm gonna propose that we break from the weekly schedule and maybe go to a bi-weekly or perhaps monthly schedule.
I think that's a good idea.
I think we should have some offline conversations to figure out whether we want to go bi-weekly or monthly.
Yeah.
But I think the every week formula served us very well for a long time. But I think we're at a place now where we can throttle it back a little bit, and I think it'll allow for a lot more hearty conversation every time we get together.
I would agree with you because, in 2 weeks' time or a month's time, certainly, how many customer service opportunities do we run into? Whereas in a week's time, sometimes we struggle to find a really great one.
Sure. Yeah, I think we've emptied our archives of customer service experiences through our lives, and now we've hit the real time aspect of customer service. So I think a bi-weekly or monthly would be good for our audience.
I agree with you, and we will talk about what the frequency will be. But we are starting our new season tonight, and thank you so much, Sean. It's always great to talk with you, and we will talk again very shortly.
Sounds good, John. Great seeing you as always.
As always, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.